Namaste. In the previous class, we looked at the introduction of aldehydes, ketones, and carboxylic acids. We looked at what they are, how do we name them. I gave you an assignment. This was the assignment that I gave you to write down the names, both common as well as the IUPAC names of these compounds. I hope you have made an effort to write the names. We will continue with this. We'll start trying to find out the names of these compounds with both IUPAC and the common system. So here we go. The first one, HCHO. We spoke about this already as an example. The common name is formaldehyde because it is derived from formic acid, and the IUPAC name is methanal. Meth because there's only one carbon here. So this is straightforward. The second one, this aldehyde contains two carbon atoms, so therefore this is ethanal. The common name is acetaldehyde. Why is it acetaldehyde? Because it is derived from the acid which is acetic acid. Acetic acid is nothing but vinegar. Vinegar is sour to taste, is acidic in nature. It is also called as acetum, hence the name acetic acid. And since this aldehyde is obtained from acetic acid, we call this as acetaldehyde. Coming to this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, but the fourth one is actually a part of a chain. Clear? So the fourth one is part of a chain, which means on the second position, no, this is 1, this is 2. On the second position, I have two CH3 groups attached. So one will be here, one will be here, which means this one will be a substituent. So 1, 2, 3, 3 carbon atoms forming the straight chain. Hence, it will be prop, an, al, and at the second position, what is attached? I have a methyl group attached. Hence, 2-methyl propanal. Clear? And this is butyraldehyde because there are 4 carbon atoms there. And it's not a straight chain, it is a branch chain. Hence, we use the term iso in the common system. So, isobutyraldehyde. Coming to this one. Now, most of us will try to confuse this with benzene if we are not really careful. This is one of the common mistakes that I've seen people make, children make. They assume that this is benzene and then go write the name according to benzene. But no, if you observe the structure closely, it is a cyclohexane. Yeah, cyclohexane. And to the cyclohexane, what do I have? 1, 2, 3. At the third position, I have a methyl group. So the methyl group is at the third position. So how do I name it? 3-methyl cyclohexane carbaldehyde. So this is the IUPAC name, carbaldehyde. And when you look at the common name, in common, we do not use numbers to indicate the positions. So what is used here? Gamma. Why gamma? So this is the alpha carbon, this is the beta carbon, and this is the gamma carbon. So the gamma position, I have a methyl group that is attached. Clear? The next one, this is my carbon which is having the function group, or this is the carbonyl carbon. I have the second carbon here. This is the third carbon. To the second carbon, I have a substituent that is attached. And who is the substituent? OCH3, which is nothing but methoxy. So methoxy is attached to the second position. So since I have 1, 2, 3 carbon atoms, this should be prop. Yes, so this is prop. Aldehyde, so propanal. And who's the substituent attached? At the second position, I have methoxy. So that will be indicated by 2-methoxy. So 2-methoxypropanal is the name of this compound. If I have to talk about the common name, in common, we just spoke about it. We do not indicate the position of substituents by numbers. Instead, we use the term alpha. beta, gamma, delta, etc. Here, the substituent is attached to the carbon which is attached to the functional group. So therefore, this is the alpha carbon. So therefore, alpha methoxy propionaldehyde. Yeah. So aldehyde with 3 carbon atoms is called as propionaldehyde because it is obtained from the acid propionic acid. Hence, the name is propionaldehyde. The next one is pretty straightforward. This is a straight chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 carbon atoms and it's an aldehyde. Hence, it is called as pentanal. There's a common name for this, valeraldehyde. Clear? Then I have the next one. This is having an unsaturation. There's a double bond there. So 1, 2, 3. The double bond is present between 2 and 3. We give the lowest number, which is 2. So there are 3 carbon atoms. So it is prop. It's an ene and an al. And the ene is at the second position. Therefore, the name is prop 2 enal. There's a common name for this. This is called as acrolein. We'll try to see acrolein. Where is it used? Why is it useful? Sometime later. But remember what acrolein is. It's nothing but prop 2 enal. The next one, of course, this is not cyclohexane, but this is a benzene ring. To benzene ring, I have 2 CHO groups attached. So the name will be benzene 1, 2. So this, if I consider this carbon as 1, this will be 2. So benzene 1, 2 dicarbaldehyde. Yeah. So carbaldehyde is one more name for the CHO group if it is attached to a ring system. So benzene 1, 2 carbaldehyde. There's a common name for this. This is called as phthalaldehyde, obtained from the acid phthalic acid. Okay, so phthalaldehyde is the common name for this compound. Then I have a substituted benzaldehyde. So this, without the bromine, this would have been benzaldehyde. So I have bromine. Bromine is where? 1, 2, 3. It's at the third position. So 3-bromo-benzaldehyde, which is pretty straightforward. 3-bromo-benzaldehyde. Now, in the common system, we don't use positions in terms of numbers. If it is a benzene ring, the positions would be ortho, meta, or para. So if I have to look at this compound here, this is my ortho. This is also my ortho. Clear? This is my para. So therefore, these 2 positions are meta. The bromine is attached to the meta position, hence the name meta-bromo-benzaldehyde. Clear? So these are some of the names of aldehydes. Then coming to ketones. Now where do you see the ketonic functional group? Yes, you see it here. So the numbering will be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 carbons. Since there are 5 carbons, it has to be pent, and the ketonic group is present in the second position. So therefore, pentantuone will be the IUPAC name. Then coming to the common name. The common name, we said we look at the 2 R groups that are attached. One R group that's attached is CH3, which is methyl. Another R group that's attached is this big group, which is propyl. Yeah. And who comes first in the priority order? We look at alphabetical order there. So therefore, methyl comes first, followed by propyl. So methyl propyl ketone. Now they've indicated the letter N just to indicate that this propyl is a straight chain. It can be a branch chain as well. If it is a straight chain, we just indicate that by the letter N, which is normal. So methyl N-propyl ketone. Then coming to the next one. Where is the ketonic group? The ketonic group is here. So to each of these carbons, this carbon and this carbon, I have 2 CH3 groups attached. Clear? So if one is forming the straight chain, one will be the branch here. So if one is forming the straight chain, one will be the branch. So when I have to look at the parent chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I will have 5 carbons forming the straight chain with 2 substituents attached to the carbons 1 and attached to carbon 2 and carbon 4. Yeah. So therefore, this is pentan. And where is the ketonic group? It's at the third position because 1, 2, 3 pentan 3-on. And I have substituents where attached to the second and the fourth carbon, and each of these substituents are methyl. Since I have a common substituent and 2 of them, we use dimethyl. And where is that dimethyl? Dimethyl is at 2, 4. Clear? Then coming to this compound, again, you should clearly see the difference. This is not benzene. This is similar to this compound here, which is a cyclohexane. In this case, I had an aldehyde functional group. In this case, I have a ketonic functional group. Clear? So coming to how do I name it? So if this is carbon 1, this will be carbon 2. So at the second position, I have a methyl. This is cyclohexanone, which is what is mentioned here. Cyclohexanone. To cyclohexanone who is attached, I have a methyl group attached. Where is it attached? It's attached to the second position. So therefore, 2-methyl cyclohexanone. That will be the IUPAC name. And we said in the common system, we do not use numbers. We use alpha. If it is a if it's a cyclohexane ring or a cycloalkane ring. If it's a benzene ring, we use ortho, para, and meta. So here, since it's a cycloalkane ring, and this CH3 is attached to the alpha position, therefore alpha methyl cyclohexanone. Yeah, coming to the last one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the fourth carbon, I have 2 CH3 groups attached. If one is forming the straight chain, that will be the part of the parent chain, and the other CH3 will be attached here as a substituent. Okay, so there are 4 carbon atoms in the parent chain. So therefore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 5 carbons in the parent chain. I will have pent, and the third position. So 1, 2, 3. The double bond is between 3 and 4. We give the lowest number. So the third position, I have the double bond. So 3N. Then where is the ketonic group? The ketonic group is in the second position. So therefore, 2-on pent 3N, 2-on. To this who is attached, we just wrote a substituent here. We said this is nothing but CH3. I'll have a CH3 here. Clear? The CH3 is attached to the fourth carbon, hence 4-methyl pent 3N2-on. And this is called commonly as mesityl oxide. So mesityl oxide is the common name. Now one thing is very clear. Common name is very difficult to remember because it is based on the source. Whereas IUPAC name, you don't need to remember. If you know the rules of nomenclature, any structure is given to you, you can be able to write the IUPAC name. That's again one of the other disadvantages of the IUPAC system. Clear? All right, I'll just keep the slide open for a moment so that you can make a note. Of course, this video is anyways going to be there on YouTube so that you can retrieve it anytime you want. For a moment, so that you can understand, I'll just keep it open. All right. Then I gave you this as the homework. Carboxylic acid. Let's try to find out the common name and the IUPAC name of these carboxylic acids mentioned. Here I go. So the first one, HCOOH, we said the common name is formic acid because it is obtained from ants, which is formicus in Latin. Then I have the IUPAC name. There's only one carbon atom here. So therefore, meth is the root word, methanoic acid. Here, that's the IUPAC name. Second one, pretty straightforward. There are two carbon atoms. So therefore, ethanoic acid, and the common name is acetic acid. The third one, 1, 2, 3. Propanoic acid is the IUPAC name, whereas the common name is propionic acid. Fourth one, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 carbon atoms. Naturally, butanoic acid is the IUPAC name. The common name is butyric acid. Take a homework. I want you to find out how did butyric acid get its name. Find out what is the source. What is the source of butyric acid? So this is the first homework that I'm giving in today's class. Find out the source of butyric acid. All right, then coming to this one. Now I have 1, 2. To the second carbon, I have 2 CH3 groups attached. One, if it is attached here, one will be attached here. So it's a branch chain. So one of the CH3 groups will be a substituent. So when I look at the parent chain, 1, 2, 3. 3 carbons forming the straight chain. So therefore it has to be propanoic acid. Acid is missing here. Propanoic acid. To propanoic acid, who is attached? I have a methyl group attached. So one methyl group is attached to this carbon, which is nothing but the second carbon. So therefore, 2-methyl propanoic acid. And there it has 4 carbon atoms and it's a branch chain. The previous one was butyric acid. This will be isobutyric acid. The term iso is indicated to differentiate between a straight chain and a branch chain. Clear? The next one. Now these are all dicarboxylic acids. Clear? Where there are more than one COH groups. I have 2 COH bonded to each other. This is called as oxalic acid. That's the common name. And when you look at the IUPAC name, 1, 2. There are 2 carbon atoms. So therefore, ethane dioic acid. So ethane dioic acid is the IUPAC name. Pretty straightforward. So this should be straightforward too. 1, 2, 3. So propane dioic acid. Yes, that's what I have. Propane dioic acid. The common name is malonic acid. The common name of this compound is malonic acid. Then I have this compound. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are a total of 4 carbons. Clear? Fine. So hence this will be butane dioic acid. The common name is succinic acid. And coming to this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are a total of 5 carbons forming the parent chain. Therefore, this will be pentane dioic acid, which is what is mentioned here. So pentane dioic acid. If I have to write the common name is glutaric acid. The next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are a total of 6 carbons forming the straight chain. It should be hexane dioic acid. So pretty straightforward. Hexane dioic acid is the IUPAC name, and the common name is adipic acid. So this is one more compound that we will come across sometime later in one of the chapters, where we study how this compound is useful to man. How are we making use of this to make certain things that we use on a daily basis. So remember adipic acid. So adipic acid is nothing but hexane dioic acid. Coming to the last one here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 carbons forming the straight chain, and this group that is written in the bracket will be the branch. Clear? And who is that branch? That branch is nothing but one more COH. So this compound contains 3 COH groups. So this is a tricarboxylic acid. Clear? And what is a parent chain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is pent. If you take each one of the carboxylic acids, so if you take the carboxylic acid group into picture, if this carbon is also included in the parent chain, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clear? 5 carbons forming the straight chain. You will get a pent. If you do this, this COH becomes a substituent. Clear? The COH becomes a substituent. But if I have more than one same functional group, I cannot consider the other one as a substituent. You can consider a functional group as a substituent if you have more than one different kinds of functional group. Whereas here, since I have the same functional group and 3 in number, all 3 should be given the preference. They should not be considered, any one of them should not be considered as the substituent. Hence, to ensure that all 3 of them are considered as functional groups, what we do is we start naming this compound from this carbon. So 1, 2, 3. And to each of these carbon atoms, I have a COH group attached. So therefore, I will be naming it as propane 1, 2, 3 tricarboxylic acid. So let me explain this once again. There are 2 ways in which we can look at naming this compound. One is like what we have done so far. Include this carbon also in the parent chain. If I include this one, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 carbon atoms forming the straight chain. And this COH will become the substituent, which is the branch chain. Now when I do this, I have 3 COH groups. I'm considering 2 COH groups to be a part of the parent chain, while the third one is considered as a substituent, which is not fair because all the 3 functional groups are the same. So when I have the same functional group, I cannot consider any one of them as a substituent. I need to ensure that all of them are considered as functional groups as well. Hence, what are we doing? We try to name it using the second method, which is that we number carbons from here 1, 2, and 3. And to each of these carbon atoms, I have a COH group attached. Hence, propane 1, 2, 3 tricarboxylic acid. Clear? I hope you understand that. Coming to the common name, tricarboxylic acid. This is the common name, tricarboxylic acid or carboxylic acid. Clear? Even here, it's pretty straightforward that it is difficult to remember the common name. You cannot find a clear pattern here. It is randomly named based on the source. Whereas IUPAC name, you follow the rules, you follow the logic, you'll be in a better position to write the names of these compounds. I'll just keep the slide open for a moment so that you can make a note of it. Check whatever you have written to what is mentioned here. Clear? All right, super. So we will proceed further. So we looked at the preparation of aldehydes using Rosenman reduction. We looked at Stefan's reduction. We also looked at esters. So this is where we stopped in the previous class. The fourth method, this involves a name. Hence, it is important. It involves a name. This is called as Itard's reaction. This is called as what? Itard's reaction. Now, what is Itard's reaction? For Itard's reaction, I take toluene, This is toluene. Toluene is made to react with chromyl chloride. So this is chromyl chloride. Now what is happening here? When you look at this complex here, what do you think is happening? Simple. What's only happening is hydrogens are actually not going out. I want you to listen to this reaction carefully. It would have been great if I was teaching this reaction on a board in the classroom. Unfortunately, I'm teaching this on a slide, but let us try to understand carefully. So what's happening is I have a CH3 group here. When you observe what's happened to CH3, CH3 has become CH. Now you get a feeling that two hydrogens have been removed. That is what is the feeling that you get when you look at this complex. But that's not what's happened. What's happened is, in fact, this entire chromyl chloride molecule has got incorporated between C and H. Surprising, it's got incorporated, or in other words, oxygen from this chromyl chloride forms a bond with carbon. Oxygen from chromyl chloride forms a bond with this carbon. Now when it forms a bond with that carbon, what's also happening is the hydrogens which were initially part of this carbon gets incorporated in that side chain which is mentioned here. Clear? So where did the other two hydrogens go? The other two hydrogens are very much here. These are the two hydrogens which are there. So this is H and there are two of them. Clear? Fine. So you can also observe that I have twice written, which means we need 2 moles of this. So 2 moles of chromyl chloride is used up and they get incorporated inside. Clear? So how do you know it is clearly incorporated? All you need to do is check the number of atoms, try to balance the number of atoms. Now if I took 2 moles of chromyl chloride, I'll have how many chromiums? I'll have 2 chromiums. And how many do I have here? Cr into 2, I have 2 of them. Oxygens, 2 into 2, 4. Here, 1, 2, 2 into 2, 4. Chlorines, 2 into 2, 4. 4 chlorine atoms. Chlorines, 2 into 2, 4. Hydrogens, there were totally 3 here. Let's look at the hydrogens here. 1, 1 into 2, which is nothing but 2, 2 plus 1, 3. So everything is pretty much retained here. So once again, toluene, when it reacts with 2 moles of chromyl chloride gets incorporated between CH3. It gets incorporated between that to form this complex. Now once it forms this complex, in the next step, all we do is acid hydrolysis here, where the compound breaks here and oxygen gets added to give you CHO group, which is benzaldehyde. Clear? Got that? Yeah. So very important. You might not be in a position to understand this if you read it on your own. That's where this intervention comes into picture. All you need to remember is 2 moles of chromyl chloride that is taken gets incorporated to the carbon atom of the CH3 group to form the complex. Clear? All right. The next method, starting again from toluene. So I take toluene. To toluene, I react chlorine in the presence of heat. So this should be chlorination. And this is not chlorination of the ring. If you closely observe the product here, it is not chlorination of the ring, which means hydrogens of the benzene ring is not substituted by chlorine. Instead, it is hydrogens of the CH3 that gets substituted, which is called as side chain halogenation. So this step is nothing but side chain halogenation, where the hydrogen from the CH3 which is attached to the benzene ring, which is nothing but the substituent, is replaced with Cl. Clear? And how many? So 2 hydrogens go out with 2 chlorines as HCl. In place of the 2 hydrogens who's coming in, 2 chlorine atoms come in to become CHCl2, which is called as benzylidene chloride. Benzylidene chloride is the first step. In the second step, I carry out reaction with water. When I add water to this, Cl2 is removed, clear, with hydrogen as HCl, and oxygen comes in place of the chlorine atoms to form the CHO group. Clear? Giving us benzaldehyde. So here what are we doing? We are taking toluene. Toluene is made to undergo side chain chlorination, where the hydrogens of the CH3 group is replaced by chlorine, 2 of them, to give us benzylidene chloride. Benzylidene chloride then reacts with water. Upon removal of Cl2 and hydrogen as HCl, oxygen gets incorporated by bonding with carbon to form a CHO and giving us benzaldehyde. Yeah, so this is one more method of preparation of benzaldehyde, just like Itard's reaction. I want you to take Itard's reaction as homework. So take this as homework. This is very commonly asked. One of the questions that is asked by examiners: explain Itard's reaction. I want you to practice this, write it 2 times and submit as homework. Then coming to one more reaction, name reaction again. This reaction is again important because it's a name reaction. It's called Gattermann-Koch reaction. Gattermann-Koch reaction. Now what happens in Gattermann-Koch? Observe, I take benzene. To benzene we add carbon monoxide in the presence of HCl, aluminum chloride and copper chloride. Clear? So carbon monoxide is added. So what actually happens is I have a hydrogen here. Clear? You hope you remember that. Yes. Now what we do is we take CO and incorporate the CO between carbon and hydrogen. Let me repeat. You take benzene, and when you react benzene with carbon monoxide in the presence of aluminum chloride, HCl and copper chloride, what basically is happening is the carbonyl group CO, carbon monoxide, gets incorporated between this carbon of the benzene ring and this hydrogen to become a CHO. You can clearly observe that this is nothing but the carbon. So this is the carbon of the carbon monoxide. Clear? This is nothing but carbon monoxide, CO. This was the hydrogen of benzene. Clear? And this is the carbon of benzene, which is indicated here. So what's actually happening in Gattermann-Koch is CO gets incorporated between C of benzene and the H of benzene. Clear? It just forms a bond between these two to become CHO, which is nothing but benzaldehyde. Clear? So this reaction is also called as formylation reaction. Remember where we have come across this? Aluminum chloride, anhydrous aluminum chloride. Where did you come across this? Yes, Friedel-Crafts alkylation. In Friedel-Crafts alkylation and acylation, anhydrous aluminum chloride is used as a catalyst. So similarly, even here, It is used as a catalyst to incorporate a formyl group, a CO group, in between carbon and hydrogen of benzene. So I want you to take this reaction as homework as well. I want you to write this reaction 2 times. This is again one more reaction which is frequently asked in both PU as well as competitive. Next is preparation of ketones. So what I'll do, I'll stop for today's class. In the next class, we'll start with preparation of ketones. So until then, I want you to go back and revise all the reactions of preparation of aldehydes we have done so far. I've already given you homework. Butyric acid, the source of butyric acid. The second one was Itard's reaction. Try to write it 2 times. Gattermann-Koch reaction 2 times. So these are the homework that is assigned for today's class. Until the next class, thank you. Namaste.